Welcome everyone, I'm Dale and this is Cinema Historia. A three-time loser, a beautiful ex-girlfriend, and a planned armored car robbery. This week we're going back to 1942 for a film noir crime drama film called The Big Shot, starring Humphrey Bogart and Irene Manning. And this is directed by Louis Sealer. So where does our story begin this week? Well, our story begins conveying a flashback from the hospital ward about three-time loser Duke Byrne, played by Humphrey Bogart. Duke has 3 raps over him, serving prison time for 5 years, 10 years, and then once more for 5 years. After being released from prison previously, he tries to go straight, but finds no one wants to give a crook a job. While sitting in Sardo's restaurant, he is approached by former associates Sandor and Frenchie about an upcoming job. For helping them plan an armored car robbery and proving once more he is a big shot, his cut would be 100 grand. Wanting to solve his coffee and cake problem, Duke, tempted, visits the hold-up gang's leader, lawyer Martin Fleming. Seeing Fleming and agreeing Fleming's wife, Lorna, played by Irene Manning, was once Duke's girlfriend, of course, and says she still loves him and merely married Fleming for his money. Not wanting him to go back to prison, Lorna pays Duke a visit and forces him to keep out of a planned robbery. Meanwhile, the robbery proceeds without Duke, and everything goes wrong, including gang members' death. Lightning strikes again when a witness falsely identifies Duke as one of the gang members. With Duke not being involved in the attempted robbery, Fleming is forced to defend him after the latter threatens to expose his criminal activities to the authorities. Fleming gets a young, naive car salesman, George Anderson, to provide an alibi for Duke while testifying in court. Lorna watches patiently in court when suddenly the prosecutor surprises everyone with calling George's girlfriend, Ruth Carter, to the stand. A nervous Ruth takes the stand and tells the jury George was with her instead of Duke when the robbery took place. Uh-oh. So, did Fleming find out from a gang member that Duke spent time with his wife Lorna? Did someone plan a deliberate frame-up to get Duke out of the way? Or does perjury and a life sentence in prison change the direction of our story? Released June 13th, 1942, this was the last of Humphrey Bogart's mobster roles until he reprised the role of Duke Manty in The Petrified Forest in 1955, and that was the TV drama movie. Although he sometimes played criminals after this film, his characters weren't members of any organized crime gang. Film critic Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a 71% rating, stating, "Better than expected with great stunts, above average material elevated by Bogart's performance, and Bogart at his best as a nice bad guy." And that he was, and he plays Duke in another film I'm going to be doing down the road, The Petrified Forest, the 1936 film, and it stars Leslie Howard and Bette Davis. Stay tuned. And our trivia question this week: did this film mark the 3rd time in helping the career of someone who starred in our film? Did this film mark the 3rd time in helping the career of someone who starred in our film? So, a little more history and the answer to our trivia question coming up next. Our film's title is The Big Shot. This week for history, we're going to talk about some other things named Big Shot. I think you'll find this interesting. In literature, Big Shot Comics. Yes, Big Shot Comics was an American comic book series published by Columbia Comics during a period in the 1940s that fans and historians refer to as the Golden Age of comic books. The series included a mix of superheroes, costume crime fighters, crusading district attorneys, heroic magicians, and others. Big Shot ran 104 issues, cover dated May 1940 to August 1949. In music, Big Shot, a song by the Bonzo Doodah Band from the 1967 debut album called Gorilla, released by Liberty Records. The band was created by a group of British art school students in the 1960s, combining elements of music hall and jazz. This album features a ukulele intro and outro played by Eric Clapton. Also, Big Shot is a song performed by Billy Joel from his sixth studio album, 1978's 52nd Street, as its opening track. And I bought this album on vinyl back in high school. Released as a single in early 1979, the song would become the second hit single from the album, peaking at number 14 in the US. In photography, Big Shot, an instant camera manufactured by Polaroid. The Polaroid Corporation, founded in 1937, made one of the most unusual cameras ever introduced. A rigid-bodied model released in 1971 and produced until 1973 was designed for portrait use only. It has a fixed focus, requiring the photographer to move back and forth until the subject appears in focus. This technique has been called the Big Shot Shuffle. Big Shot was a pinball machine, yes, designed by pinball game designer and innovator Ed Krinsky, produced by Gottlieb, an American game corporation founded in 1927, manufactured a total of 2,900 units in 1973. The table has a pool theme and is highly regarded among skilled players and collectors due to the level of skill required to hit all 14 targets in the game. And in film, yes, The Big Shot, a 1922 German silent film. The Big Shot in 1931, a pre-code comedy film directed by Ralph Murphy, starring Eddie Quillen and Maureen O'Sullivan. The Big Shot in 1937, a comedy directed by Edward Killey, starring Guy Kibbe and Cora Witherspoon. And our film, The Big Shot in 1942, an American film noir crime drama that entered production after Across the Pacific in 1942, a spy film, was released 3 months earlier. Considered one of Bogart's lesser-known works, contemporary reviews describe it as an exceptional throwback to his earlier gangster films, and that it is. And the answer to our trivia question this week: did this film mark the third time in helping the career of someone who starred in our film? Yes. This film marks the third time Bogart took a role because actor George Raft backed out of doing a part. Warner Brothers gave the lead to Bogart after George Raft left High Sierra in 1941, The Maltese Falcon in 1941, that was a big hit for Bogart, and finally The Big Shot in 1942. Those three roles, in addition to Black Legion in 1937, allowed Bogart the opportunity to show more complex layers of his acting than the typecast gangster roles he'd been given up to then. It could be argued that Bogart's talent guaranteed he would have become an A actor eventually, but Raft's refusals brought him his break sooner, and that it did. And I'm going to leave the links to a couple other Bogart films I did on my channel. Action in the North Atlantic from 1943, and They Drive By Night from 1940. It stars Bogart and George Raft. Enjoy. I'd like to give a big thank you to my viewers and subscribers. Thanks very much for helping me out, and we'll see you soon.